Welcome to the first episode of Face to Face. Now, what is face to face? Face to face basically is something, well, of course, it's got my face, obviously, right? Oh, you can see me, which this isn't usual because usually when we do podcast episodes, we're just talking into the microphone and just coming up with ideas on the fly. Now, obviously, that's not what most podcasts are, but we have an idea, and basically what we do is we record right here. It's kind of a little insight of what we do. It's really easy. But to give a little bit more of an idea what this is, basically I'm going to be getting asked some personal questions, some personal things are going to be said. But yeah, you're going to learn a little bit more about us, and this is kind of what we're going to do until the end of the year. Then we have one final episode that's going to be really long that we're going to put out, talking about how we felt about the podcast and how it's made us feel. So without further ado, let's get to answering some questions. Austin, take it away.
So Mario, what are some pivotal moments in your life that made you decide, like, this is what I want to do? Like, I want to be a therapist. Like, I want to talk about people's problems. Like, what were those driving factors that made you want to be here right now and just start recording?
So basically, I came up with the idea, right? So we did together because I just brought out the camera and I was like, this would be a cool idea. But basically, I want to be a therapist because I'm in therapy myself, and I talk to a bunch of people about them and their problems and have a lot of real-world experience. Because last year I was unfortunately raped, and I went through a lot of issues and a lot of times where I had to put in a lot of hard work, dedication, and determination. And that's like the big three right there. That's a lot of things that like you're gonna have to like have in your life in general, and especially if I'm gonna be like going to college and doing stuff like that. But the pivotal moment was definitely like when I got raped, and after that I was just like not the same person. I haven't been the same person in a long time until like recently when I was like able to like really heal and get over it. Like doing school and doing this podcast and like talking about it has really helped me in a sense because I've just been able to talk about myself and my own opinions on mental health and stuff like that and real world things because these are things that everybody deals with. Nobody's alone and everybody goes through something. Like you're never alone, never ever think you're alone. And that's kind of a message that I wanted to get across to everybody because I want to make the world a better place and I want to leave my imprint on it before I end up ultimately leaving this world one day.
What do you say to people that feel alone on a daily basis, and how would you prescribe them with a feeling of they're not alone?
There's always somebody with you, whether it be a loved one, whether it be God, whether it be your guardian angel. If you believe in religion or not, there's always going to be somebody with you. Even if it's a loved one, look, what I'm just trying to get across is it doesn't matter. Somebody's with you. There's always going to be somebody with you. Somebody's always watching over you. You ever get a sense that like something's watching you or there's a presence with you? That's because we're never alone truly. And there's always people that we can talk to, hang out with, or go talk to in the real world that we can go hang out with. You can always tell somebody something, they will understand you. Never ever think you're alone because loneliness is one of the biggest things that will end up taking us over and will end up harming us more than anything. I would know that from experience. And to share a little bit of my experience, COVID and the 2019 and the 2020 definitely harmed me a lot. I went through a lot of ups and downs of emotions, and that's when I started to figure out I'm not normal. I have something wrong with me. And I'm here today. Obviously, hearing what you just heard now, you're like, something ought to be wrong, right? Like, that's common sense. Like, if you went through the things that I went through, like, you would understand where I'm coming from when I say that. Like, that would just be a common thing to just, like, assume. But no, to give more insight to that, though, just being lonely, you're never truly alone. I know what loneliness feels like more than anybody, but just never think you're alone and always speak out. So, without further ado, on to the next question.
So I'm going to be asking you, what were some big emotions you were having like during the COVID, and how did you take it all in through that and experiencing things and how everybody else did? But I feel like that was a big lonely part of people's lives. I mean, maybe for some it was a big advancement, like they could have more time to do things. But how did it take an effect on you?
So, for starters, I was angry, I was depressed, I was sad. I, of course, felt alone, and it's very a pivotal moment because that's when I, like I said, realized like I finally had something wrong with me, and you know, I realized that I need to do something about it. I can't just sit around. I got very overweight. I started gaining weight like crazy. It wasn't a great time in my life. I felt like I had made an enormous mistake, and I felt like I was just a mistake in general, and I had disappointed everybody, and I wasn't living up to who I was supposed to be. Because I felt like I had a path, and I felt like I had a destiny, and I felt like I had a reason to do everything that I should have done, but I just didn't do it for some reason. Just got knocked off course for some reason, and I would eventually find out. This kind of relates to the topic a little bit of those emotions. Those emotions were because I had a rare mental disorder. Some people would call it a disability, but I have bipolar schizoaffective disorder, which means I'm bipolar and I'm schizophrenic, and that is something I will have to deal with the rest of my life until I'm an old man. And the unfortunate thing about that is, you know, while I was feeling those emotions, then I didn't think about it now was when I got diagnosed with that, my grandpa before he passed away had that, and my grandpa ultimately took his own life when I was 8 years old, and I unfortunately had to be there when they were taking him out on a stretcher, two people, and that was one of the most scarring moments of my life. And after that day, I started hearing voices in my head and realized that I wasn't normal. That was the first moment I really feel like I realized I wasn't normal. I thought it was just my self-conscious talking to me and being very talkative, but when the thoughts became mean, anger-filled, and were bullying me and harassing me, I realized that this wasn't normal. But I feel like COVID in general is just a pivotal year for everybody and terrible because a lot of people realized that they had some mental issues and some deep-rooted issues that they had to get a hold of.
So, how do you go through having what your grandpa did and seeing like how it had effects on him and taking his life, and how do you put that back on yourself, and how do you just cope with these emotions and these disorders that normal people really aren't going through, and how are you staying positive through it?
So first of all, it's a pretty loaded question, but I don't put it back on myself because his was from a car accident, and because he drove a motorcycle and he got into an accident. His was completely different from mine. Mine is genetics, unfortunately. I had to get mine from him genetically, at least we hope, because my grandpa was pretty crazy and had some pretty bad moments when he was going through it. This time he had a mental disorder while he was alive. But the way I've been able to get through all this time with all these emotions and all these things is my friends, my family, and just everybody around me, including teachers here, have helped me get through high school and everything. And without all these people, I wouldn't know exactly where I'd be. I'd be pretty lost. But I'm setting myself up on a path to no failure to where I'm going to end up being successful more than anything. And I feel like that is what everybody should do for themselves. I'm not overcome with joy or certain emotions at all. I don't really feel anything at all because of what has happened to me. But I still do feel emotions, just not all the time. It's very difficult to feel. And it's not easy dealing with what I got because it's pretty scary seeing things sometimes, but you get used to it, you grow, you learn, you adapt, and in general, it gets easier. So, I just want to say, first of all, can you please tilt the camera a little bit to the right? So, I want to say, first of all, I'm not scared of anything. I've been maybe worried or concerned at the most, but The way I exactly go about doing things in general, or things that I'm scared of or don't really want to attack, is I just do them. Because the things that I have to think about, or that I have to just like have time to like do, or like determine whether I want to do it or not, can't do that. You just got to do things in life. Because otherwise, how are you going to get anything done? You just got to send it. If you're worried about something, if you're scared to do it, I promise you, for some reason, you do better if you just send it. And that goes back to me just going to the gym for the first time. I went with my cousin. I just hit him with a message. I lost weight that first time. Second time around, I did it myself. You just got to do it. You just got to get into things. And you just got to trust yourself. You got to trust the process. And you got to trust you as a person. Have trust in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. Be you is the biggest thing I would tell people. And I feel like that's what everybody needs to kind of learn. Because you can't be scared of life always. You can't be scared of what's going to happen. You just kind of got to be you and kind of take the situation in and just do it. Act, achieve, and persevere through whatever it may be.
What would you say to people that really don't really know who they are? Like they don't know how to act themselves. Like they're not really seeing a path. What would you say to those people? Like how would they take your advice to find out like what they should be doing? What they should be doing instead of letting go.
First of all, I want to say that takes time. That's something easy. That's something that takes time. Never think that something's ever going to come easy, because nothing's ever going to come that easy. It can and it can't. That's just how life is. It's like a coin. You flip it, you either get heads or tails. You either get hard or you get easy. That's basically how it is. And life's just always going to be a coin flip. But to answer your question, really, I'm sorry, can you please restate the question?
So for people that are struggling to find themselves, like they're struggling to.
Okay. So it just takes time, really. But yeah, like I was saying before, sorry, I got completely off track. It's like life's like a coin flip. That's where I was going with it. It's literally 50-50 whether it's easy or hard. But you kind of gotta be yourself in a situation, and it's just gonna take time to find yourself. It's not something that's gonna be like super easy. You just gotta keep going. Otherwise, where are you gonna be in life if you don't keep going? If we just stop and we just stand still and do nothing, nobody's gonna move us. Nothing's gonna move besides time, and then you're just gonna be left behind, really. And you just gotta kind of just keep going, and you'll eventually find yourself. And before you know it, life becomes easy. Life becomes joyful. Life becomes easier to live in. Nothing is more beautiful than living. Nothing is more beautiful than life. You just got to keep going, and eventually you find your purpose. Like me, I'm still trying to find my purpose. I'm only 18. It's not easy, but I know so much already, it feels like. You just got to keep going. Because life just be life, and sometimes, and you just got to do it.
Do you think it's a gift to have such a mindset over yourself? I feel like there's so many people that are 18 or older that just have corrupt mindsets about their life and their experiences. What do you think what changed your mindset from the others to what you have now?
What's changed my life to this mindset? Well, what's changed my life's mindset to this? Am I saying that right? That's See, it's like there's like such a weird way to like word that. Like my mindset of life. There we go. My mindset of life has changed over time. In the sense because like I've just done and I've seen so much already, and I've had to go through so much already. It's kind of like I had to be an adult way before I was supposed to be and have that adult mindset. Because otherwise, where would I be if I didn't have that mindset to not struggle all the time and make excuses? I still make excuses sometimes. Everybody makes excuses. I'm still a kid. And that's normal. If I wasn't making excuses all the time, that's whatever. But then I would just beat myself up over everything, and nobody wants to do that. And you know, and going through all the emotions and all the things that I had to go through, they just kind of change you, and it'll just kind of irk you to realize that I need to change. And there's been many times in my life I was just like, oh, everybody can go f off, and I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. I've done that multiple times, but can't do that all the time, obviously. But you just really gotta do you. Like all the things that we have really talked about today. You just really gotta be you, and everything just kind of takes time. So, on to the next question. What do you have for me? This is going to be our final question. This is probably going to be the most personal one. What do you have to ask me?
I have to ask you, would your mindset be different if the circumstances in your life were different? Like the things that you've been through were different, changed. Like how would that change your mindset right now?
I feel like honestly I'd be in a better place, and I feel like I'd be more proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for what I have gone through. I'm proud of myself for getting through it. But when I say it's the worst pain that anybody will ever have to go through in their entire lives, what I went through, I mean, it is the worst thing ever. There was multiple times I wanted to give up, multiple times that I wanted to be done. And I think you can know what I'm hinting at. I did not want to be here anymore. There's multiple times where I said I was done. It was the worst pain of my entire life what I've had to go through, and I wish I never had to endure and go through it. It is the worst thing anybody should ever have to experience, and if I could change my life, I would and I wouldn't. I would just because my mental health would be better, and I'd be doing better overall. I'd be a lot healthier. I'd be doing good, and I wouldn't have the issues that I have today, and I wouldn't have the problems that I'm having today. But in a sense, I also wouldn't because they also made me who I am today, and I have such a good mindset and I have such a good grasp on reality now that I wouldn't want that taken away from me. And I feel like just where I am now in general, that's where I want to be now. I want to be here because there's nowhere like now. I don't want to live in the past. I don't want to reminisce about the future. I want to live in the present.
How did you really change your reality? Like I feel like there's so many people that live in a different reality than you do, and like your mindset or like than I. How do you feel like your reality was changed by you?
I feel like if I didn't do anything and if I didn't get off my butt and do anything, I feel like I wouldn't. Sometimes I wonder if I'd still be here. Sometimes I wonder if I would just not be just bedridden. Sometimes I wonder if I wouldn't be anything. Sometimes I wonder if I would have no hopes, no dreams, no nothing, and would have given up. And I think me changing that has changed my reality in a sense that I'm doing better now. I'm doing good. I've told multiple people if it's happened to me. I've told people about my story. I've still made mistakes. I'm still human, and that's just kind of how life is. But that's a really short and simple answer I can really give. I could give a longer one, but we're a little bit out of time. And that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate thing about life is, you run out of time eventually. And that may sound grim, that may sound deep, but just always take every second, take every minute, take every hour, take every day, take every year. Take it all in, because you never get to relive it. And without further ado, that is episode 1 of
Catch you in
Face
the
to
next one.
Face.